Before YouTube became the go-to platform for documenting everything related to RuneScape PKing, account progress, and series content, there was a forum called RuneScape Community, and oh boy was it popular. This was a space where players would share their RuneScape kills, achievements, and account journeys, but most notably, their lures. Back in the day, I frequented this forum quite a bit, particularly in the 2005 era, and this is where I started posting my own PK videos. This was for sure one of the stepping stones in my PKing career. I definitely learned a lot about PKing on this forum, as all the best PKers used it as well. From 2004 to 2007, RuneScape was still evolving, and there were new lures and methods coming up for deceiving players that were constantly emerging every single day. And during this period, everyone was eager to find the next big money-making method, as making 100k from woodcutting magic trees just didn't compare to the thrill of PKing a party hat or a mask set, everyone's childhood dream. I actually even recall an IRC channel called #lures where players would coordinate finding lure partners. If you guys know what Swift Switch or SwiftKit was back in those days, it was basically just a big chat, kind of like how Discord is now, and people would use this channel to find other people to basically make money with. You would be either a killer or a lure, and one person's job was to lure people into the wilderness, and the other person's job was to kill them off. Not everybody had PKing accounts or builds back then, and if you were a good talker, you could make just as much money as having a maxed account or even appear with max gear. Recently, I decided to go on a little nostalgia trip, and I remembered on these forums, Jojo3000 actually posted his original lure topic before any of the YouTube videos came out, showing all the kills he got, all the videos, and the actual reason that he ended up posting this method to begin with. From what I could tell by reading this thread, Jojo taught a guy named PurePK75 how to lure. He showed him the ropes, and after Jojo came up with this method, they did this lure together, and for a while everything worked out until they eventually had a falling out, which caused PurePK75 to stop making as much money, and then he ended up posting a hate thread on Jojo claiming that he came up with the method all along. If I had to guess, I would say that this is the exact reason that we have so much Jojo3000 content nowadays. I can't imagine Jojo would just go out on a limb and just spam upload all of his best lures unless there was a good reason, and even with the wilderness dish, he was still making a ton of cash. I think that having his friends steal his idea lit a fire inside of him and made him want to just show everybody how great of a lure he actually was. This guy was getting level 3s for party hats, all sorts of rares, and having an army of wind strikers ready at a moment's notice to take them out the game. Obviously, everybody wanted to lure with Jojo, but even level 126s were falling for this, and at the time, most people that were around 120 combat were either older or even young adults, and they weren't susceptible to these type of lures. They knew what was going on. They were way ahead of the curve of most RuneScape players, and it was extremely difficult to get even a level 110 combat, let alone a 126 past that wilderness line. And even with the rare, it was so unheard of back then. Like, anyone who knows just knows that didn't happen too often. After this lure went public on RuneScape Community, I remember there were so many people trying to replicate Jojo's lure, and everybody was coming to this hotspot. Every world was packed with PKers, peers, lures, mains, and anything in between to see what was going on at the Jolly Bar Inn north of Rock. The funniest part about everyone trying to copy this lure was hunting the copycats. People didn't even realize that Jojo just had a natural knack for tricking people to come into the wilderness, and it had really nothing to do with the spot itself. Jojo was just clever, and the majority of the copycats couldn't pull off what he did. Here's a Q&A that he posted about his lures, and honestly, you can just tell how simple of a guy he was. None of these explanations seem too crazy by today's standard, but I remember the whole posing as a female part being a pretty big idea back in 2006 and 2007, as people didn't even think to realize that being a girl would make you more trusting as a bait until Jojo showed it off in his videos. At the time of this Q&A, the highest level Jojo had lured was a level 119 and for just 17 mil cash. This is what I was talking about earlier in the video, where high levels were almost impossible to lure. So by the time Jojo released his third video, it was absolutely incredible that he managed to get so many 126s in the wilderness and for party hats as well. Another question in the Q&A, and something that players were always wondering about Jojo, was how many holiday items or rares did he manage to lure? And at the time of the Q&A, he said that he got 16 plus Santa hats, over 7 green masks, more than 6 blue masks, 3 reds, and of course in the party hat section, he got 3 purple party hats, 1 yellow party hat, 1 red party hat, 2 white party hats, 1 blue party hat, and 0 greens. Obviously, these numbers went up as the videos continued to come out, and we know for a fact that this is true because he obviously got some Christmas crackers in his final video. Jojo was definitely ahead of the curve for his time. I found this old video clip of a victim recording Jojo trying to lure him. Jojo somehow tricked this guy into using telegrab to drag himself into the wilderness, and even though this guy knew it was a lure, he still entered the wilderness nonetheless. Jojo's team wasn't set up properly, and this guy ended up teleporting out and getting away. However, if Jojo had a T-beer and a freezer, this guy here would have been dead for sure. This was multi-combat, and it still is multi-combat even today. So this guy here did fall for the lure, even though he was recording, and even though he did know who Jojo was. Jojo's killers just weren't properly prepared, and if they were, they definitely would have gotten this guy, even though he knew who Jojo was and he knew that it was a lure. On RuneScape community, I found a thread where Jojo posted a bunch of kills that never made it into any of the videos. I guess none of these guys recorded the content or something. I mean, not everybody recorded back then. Computers were basically toasters with a screen attached to them. So I decided let's just jump into them. I'm going to show you guys them right now. And I'm pretty sure none of these are on YouTube, so here we go, unlocking a piece of RuneScape nostalgic history. All right, so here we've got a blue Halloween mask, a full rune set, obby cape, and 11.2 mil cash. Look at the mini map, all of his boys around. This guy here was definitely getting baited. I mean, one thing I know for sure from back in the day is that the way people used to lure is they would have their friends basically make it look like the lure was taking place and all of these people were running in and out of the wilderness picking stuff up as well. A lot of people tried to make it look as safe as possible, and having your friends there running in with rares and stuff like that and seeing them pick up loot without dying was a really good way to get people to trust you. I did this myself, and a lot of other people did it as well over time. So that's the first thing my mind goes to when I see green dots on the mini map. Now, this is an interesting kill. We've got nature runes at the top of the pile, a whip, Santa, and a fury in the inventory, which means this guy here was most likely in a full barrel set when he died. The reason I say that is because the fury and the whip had pretty high alch values back then, which means most of the time those were going to get protected. But the fact is they lost those two items. So this guy was probably in like full Darox or full Torags, probably full Torags, which means that this was probably a really lucky kill. If I had to guess, they barely spec'd this guy out at the very end. And that's just what I have to assume, because obviously the ancient staff's in inventory, so they didn't just auto cast him to death. He was probably praying mage, and they got some pretty lucky specs, and this guy probably only had like a second or two before he could have made it out of the wilderness. Blue Halloween Maskler, pretty standard coins, probably 10k. I don't know what this guy had to protect it over the Halloween mask because he didn't have too many items on him. Jojo probably dropped like a pair of rune legs noted, like 5 of them or something like that. And unfortunate for this guy that Ring of Life didn't go off. I mean, he could have been TB'd, but usually these guys are on Ancients if you watch all the video clips. Another standard kill right here. We got the Obby Cape, Glory, Obby Shield, who knows how many coins. At the top of the pile, so it's actually probably a decent bit. And of course, the Santa hat. Now, this specifically is a nostalgic kill to me. 21 mil cash, and the text is yellow instead of green. You can just tell this was like a straight up back in the day kill, probably like mid to late 2006. I could be wrong. I don't know the exact day they changed it. Should probably actually go look that one up. But yeah, 21 mil cash, that could buy you a lot back then. Not too sure what's actually going on with this kill right here. Everyone's excited. Check out that chat box. We got a red party hat kill, but right above the party hat, you can see 2 lobsters. Not really sure what's going on with this guy. Like, why didn't you just eat the food, man? That's not even, like, I don't know. He was probably panicking or something, but man, that's a, woof, I ain't going down with the party hat. Not with food in my inventory. Now, this here was a super juicy kill. 139 mil cash, 24k sharks, and a Santa hat. They even had to throw in the 8 DDSs there. We'll give this guy the pass. He had food on him too, but can't eat noted food. So, you know, we'll give this guy the pass. But man, 139 mil cash. That is serious money for back in the day. This guy here must have been the biggest brain of all the lures. I mean, he did get lured, but he managed to somehow drop all of this stuff before dying. This is before you could just hold shift and spam click your inventory. This guy here ended up dropping all these items one by one, right clicking. Probably ended up becoming unfrozen at some point while dropping all this. I mean, if you have all that gear and you're ready spam clicking like that, like, who knows, maybe if you put the armor on, he could have lived as well. Like, I don't even know. But I mean, hey, that's a small price to pay to save yourself a party hat. That there's probably like what, like 25 mil, 20 mil at the time. I don't remember how much berserker necklaces were, but like one berserker ring, gilded, 5 mil cash. Still a decent kill. Still a decent kill. There's another big kill. We got nature runes and yew longbows. Everybody knows those were a staple for training magic back then, to profit a little bit off the longbows. And of course, we got a Santa hat in there and who knows how many coins. One thing I will say is, I know I did this myself back then, but what's going on with the inventory setups? Like, what were we doing? We have hardly any runes, like double attack pots, double strength pots, rune armor for the switches, no teleport. Like, I don't know. Like, man, we were wild back then. Here we go, last few kills. We got the Santa hat, obby cape, rock shell plate, and some coins. Inventory looking crazy once again. 10k cash. This guy ended up picking it up. The guy didn't even make it to the cash stack. And I don't know what pure ST Jimmy's doing over there with his purple boots and ham gloves, full mystic with no amulet. Like, I don't know how much this guy paid Jojo to be a part of the team, but I never seen this guy, no Jojo3000 lure video. Now, this was an interesting kill. As you can see, I Fear No One said he had to drop an obby cape in order to get this guy into the wilderness. That there was actually pretty expensive back in the day, and these are the links that the lures would go to. They would drop expensive items just to get people to come in, and realistically, people were greedy back then. Like, it was hard to make money, and as a little kid, you see that on the ground, like, the first thing you're gonna do is click. Like, you're not even gonna think about it. You're just gonna click. Like, you don't really care. You just want to run in, grab it. You don't think anyone's gonna be there. You trust these people, and yeah, that's how they get you. Another big lure, we got a green Halloween mask. As you can see, Jojo's over there standing with the full Torag, green party hat, and the dragon square shield. This was, I think, the second... Yeah, I'm pretty sure green Halloween mask was the second rare I ever got. You guys ever got a rare back in the old days? I don't care about no RuneScape 3. I'm talking strictly in the old days. If you guys got one of these, let me know what you guys got down below in the comments. My favorite was a Santa. It still always will be a Santa, but green Halloween mask was my first ever Halloween mask. I don't think I ever actually bought a red, but I always had a blue and a green. Those are my two staples for Halloween masks. The last picture in this gallery that I could recover was Half-Life XX and Jojo standing north of the bar. Half-Life was a lure as well. He even lured over into like 2011, 2012 era. I remember his videos back then at the God Wars entrance that led into the wilderness. Jags didn't have that around for too long, but it was a thing for a while, and he had a huge like couple bill lure video over there as well. Jojo's inventory is looking amazing. I mean, for 2006, 2007, oh man, look at that. Couple different party hats, different flavors, Skittles, taste the rainbow, man. Look at that. I wish I had party hats back then. I'll be completely honest. Never had a party hat until free trade came out in like 2011, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, I've tried my friends on and stuff like that, but I mean, 12-year-old, 13-year-old abyss, it was out of my budget. 3 years had gone by, free trade had come out, and of course, there was no way to lure anybody anymore, and so Jojo had long but been forgotten, and somebody decided to go on the RuneScape community forums and repost all of his videos for nostalgia's sake. On this thread, tons of RuneScape players, PKers, and lurers alike paid respects to Jojo, as his legacy was never going to be forgotten within the community, and there were a couple people that left some comments that said that he wasn't as good as we made him out to be. This one guy in particular said, there were a lot of lures that made way more money than Jojo. D-Money's Me won, a guy named Fatal, and Neon made 2 times as much. And 6 months later, Jojo came out of nowhere and actually replied to this thread and said, LOL, I know all those characters. I was good friends with many of them back when I played. He said, fun fact, D-Money's Me was actually the person that taught and inspired Jojo to lure a very, very long time ago. This was back before he sold his account, as I guess this guy no longer plays the game anymore and somebody else uses it. Jojo says, the first lure we ever did together was the Zamorak wine lure, back when there was no ditch or warning message. You would run people into the wilderness by using this book glitch, and he met one of his best killers, X Smoochie X, when he did the Zamorak wine lure a long time ago. I can confirm that this actually was a real lure. I did it myself, and it was very popular back then. You would use a book to stall somebody when they traded or followed you. It would slinky them to wherever you clicked on the minimap before clicking on the book, and it was actually a really good way to get people in the wilderness. He then follows up by saying the next best lures in the game to Jojo's knowledge other than himself was a guy by the name of Crip X, or a Humble Bee, and another player named 000000, like one of those spam names. Says he's pretty sure that he misspelled it, but he knows that this O0 guy ended up luring around 8 to 10 party hats, and Jojo said that he verified about 6 of them. He also said that this guy was really, really good, and he would have eventually surpassed Jojo if he was still around, but he ended up quitting. And he also did the 10k technique. Then he said that the guy named Fatal was also good, but nothing special, and he doesn't know who the last guy that was mentioned is. Jojo then goes on to say that there's a kid that holds the record for the largest single lure in RuneScape history with 2 party hat sets in 1 kill. Apparently this guy only had a picture of proof. There's no video evidence of this, but Jojo did some research and he found out that the guy wasn't lying, and ended up being 200 to 300 mil more than Jojo's biggest lure in 1 kill, which was 2 crackers, 1 blue party hat, 200 mil cash, and a bunch of masks and Santas at the end of his final video, and that video is still up on YouTube as well. Jojo Lure Video 3. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, Jojo says that he has about 4 billion GP locked up on permanently banned accounts, and he says yes, he did real world trade and sold about 1 bill, and ended up getting banned on all of his accounts for it. He also made around $1,200 USD, and he says that he's really sad and feels terrible about all the people that he lured. He knows that he caused a lot of pain, and if he could take everything back, he says that he would. Something I didn't expect to see on this, not gonna lie. And to tally everything up, it looks like Jojo lured a total of 29 party hats throughout his luring career. That means he had an entire inventory of party hats and 1 on the top of his head before free trade ended up getting removed in 2007. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way through until the end. I know it's quite different from my usual content, but the truth is I'm super bored of PKing on RuneScape, and I've come to the realization that I think I'd truly enjoy making more PvP and PKing documentary style videos. I'm a huge fan of Crumb, Colinello, and all those guys who make amazing content around RuneScape's most nostalgic moments, and with my 20 years of PvP history, I think I could really provide some unique quality content for YouTube, but I really won't know if you guys want to see stuff like this unless you comment down below and let me know. I'm going to be reading everything, so give me some feedback, and I'll see you in the next one.